I am amazing. It's so beautiful today. You can have that. Right. All right. So let me first speak on the fact that May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. Our topic this week is addiction, how addictions start, how you deal with them on a daily basis, because I guess it's something that you cannot defeat. You just have to deal with it. Most times when people hear addiction, they automatically go to drugs. But we as a society have to understand that like drugs and alcohol are not the only type of addictions that people have. They have food addictions, they have sexual addictions, they have pornographic addictions, alcohol, drugs as well. So we got an esteemed panel of people that have felt that they've been addicted to one thing or the other, and I would really like for them to speak on their past. Kate, I've known Kate for a little while. I met her in Delaware at Dewey Beach. Todd is a Spartan. I've done maybe like 12 Spartan races. I'm not sure. Todd's probably done a lot more than I have. And Leon, I probably met Leon around 93 or 94. Leon was one of the managers at Klondike Kate's at the campus of the University of Delaware when I was working at the Stone Bloom. And then he's also been in the restaurant business for a while. So whoever wants to speak on anything, this is an open forum. There's nothing that's scripted. I have questions. I'm sure the people watching are going to have questions. So, Kate, would you like to start?
Sure. Chris is also waiting to be let in. I know he's another person he texted and said to our group. So yeah. Hey, Chris.
And I'll intro Chris. Chris Willie is someone that I met probably when I was a teenager. He's known my family for years and years and years. I've also worked with Chris at multiple bars. Also, Chris was he was also with our boxing community when I was involved in the boxing community. So that's how some of you guys will probably know Chris.
So I will say that it is not it is not coincidence that I found the restaurant industry. I don't know if, however, I know that's how we're connected. I don't know how Leon would feel or Chris would feel, but for me, the chaos of addiction was something I craved. Like, I lived in chaos as an addict. And so long before I even identified as an addict and an alcoholic, I was drawn to the chaos of the restaurant business because in the restaurant business, drinking after work and getting totally plastered is kind of a rite of passage. So it was only natural for me that when I decided to choose a career, I went down that path. I too met Leon through the restaurant business and as a patron, and very quickly just burned, at least in my addiction, burned through bridges in restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and got to the pinnacle of my industry, working for Aramark, running a football stadium. And just when I look back now and realize that I was in like just the full blown addiction at the time, I was in the right place for sure. Restaurants are kind of laden with people, but I was drawn to that kind of crazy chaos. I fit right in.
What about you, Leon?
Well, first of all, to me, you'll always be Harvey.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Honestly, I don't, Kate talked about choosing a career. I got a restaurant job, when I was 17, 18. And then I started doing the Jersey Shore summers, and, it's not, it was never a conscious decision. It's just something that I never left. And it basically had to do with the, looking back, in hindsight, I can determine that, that alcohol was the common denominator. Mm-hmm. Addiction and recovery, it's a long, complicated process, and it won't be covered in a 1 hour conversation, amongst 7 people. I can tell you that I have to work every day, to maintain my sobriety. But I certainly have not, squashed all my demons. I've got one issue and another pops up and another pops. It's a game of whack-a-mole with my personality and with my proclivity to addiction. So it's, it's an inside game. It's funny. You talked about, there was something that you sent in the messenger regarding the topic. But I can't remember what it was. I'm going to take a quick look. Just to remind myself what that message was.
Man, I say so much stuff, I don't even remember what I say.
Either stay the victim or fight it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Either stay the victim or fight it.
Right.
And, I never cried victim. I'm grateful that I discovered that I was an alcoholic after I had gone into recovery. That gave me, it was a real eye opener. It connected me with a community of like-minded people that wanted to battle this, people that wanted to stay sober one day at a time. And that's what I have to do every day. This year has been difficult because COVID forced us to, Zoom meetings, instead of in-person meetings. There's been a huge uptick in addiction-related fatalities over the past 18 months, and it's because people can't get the support that they need. I need a community of like-minded people, and I find that in my recovery groups. For me personally, that choice is AA. other people have, other choices of how they battle their recovery, but that's the community that I relate to and the community that I need. So that's basically, my deal from day to day.
Okay. What about yourself, Clyde? Can you hear me?
Todd, you're up.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
What's up?
I was just thinking of so many points what he just said.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the oddball here with the restaurant industry. When I went back to college after I'd gotten sober is when I got in the restaurant industry. And I made really great money because I realized that I could work circles around the people who came in hungover. And I loved it. I made great money. But I never got to enjoy the chaotic part of the restaurant business. I just went in, went to work, went home, studied, went back to school, and rinse and repeat. I like what you said about the last year. I lost my father March of last year, right before COVID hit, non-COVID related death, and caring for my legally blind mother. And my brother, who's a chiropractor here in Atlanta, was trying to get sober. Beautiful family, entire family, blonde-headed, blue eyes. My brother, great practice, great home, great life, great everything you could think of, except he couldn't get sober. Mm-hmm. And in October last year, he decided to take his own life.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. And, for me, though, one of the things I've not been afraid to do was come in the program and do the work. I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous as well. One of the things I've always fought for since early in my recovery, I fought to help break the stigma of addiction. Like you were saying, there were a lot of people that didn't even want to come on tonight. And I think they're scared of that stigma. They're scared of people finding out. And I think my brother suffered through that. And one of the things he didn't want to do was be honest and do the work. I think over the last year, Zoom meetings could have worked, but I think people weren't forced and held accountable to go to a lot of meetings, and they use those as excuses to relapse and put them back in positions they probably knew they shouldn't have been in. But that's kind of the nature of the beast of this disease. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and we have to do the work, and we have to stay connected, and we have to be proactive about those things. And if we're not, then we suffer the consequences of it. And for some, that's taking our own life. For some, that's going back out. For some, that's getting in accidents. There's any number of things that happen. None of them are good. So that's a piece of my story, a little bit of the last year.
I think Chris is the only one that's not alcohol related, even though he's been in the industry longer than I have. Chris, you have to unmute yourself. I know you're a little bit older, but you got to learn how to work these computers, Chris.
Easy there, Grandpa. Don't be dissing this, man. Come on now. Stop it. Stop picking on these guests, man. Let's go.
You have no idea how that guy has treated me over the years.
Oh, you're gonna just pick on him back in front of all these people? You just me. All right, Chris is there.
I see what you're saying there, Harv.
Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris.
You down there in Florida still?
Yes, sir.
That's good. You'll be back up here sooner or later. I'll get my hands on you. Alcohol. I always say, being in the bar business and actually owning bars, I like to say that, I was part of the problem for a long time. I was more than happy to help people. But my problems are more with nicotine, cigarettes. And, I don't think anybody ever sets out to be addicted to something. I think you just kind of fall into it. You try different things. And I got into smoking cigarettes in college, but once I got in the bar business, I always had a pack of cigarettes on me. Always had a cigarette within arm's reach. And I think that was a crutch for me. Anytime I got stressed, You know, just reach for a cigarette. It probably would look bad if I, at work and in a meeting with people, I just pulled out a bottle and started drinking. For me, I just pulled out a cigarette. You know, through the years in the bar business, I did get to know a lot of AA guys, and they all talk about rock bottoms when their wake up call that they had a problem. And I just to a point, if you ask me if I was an addict, I would say no at the time. But in hindsight, looking back, and the way my body reacted, if I quit smoking, I would say, yeah, my body needed that nicotine. I wanted that nicotine. I needed that nicotine. So my rock bottom was a doctor's appointment where I actually ended up leaving the doctor's office in an ambulance and get put in the hospital. And I made a decision that day. And I never bought another cigarette. I never smoked another cigarette again. I stuck to that. It's been 10 years this month.
Awesome.
Where to go? That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you. It hasn't been easy because I wasn't bad cigarettes are something I wanted to give you one. So, and to this day, I still have dreams very vividly about smoking cigarettes to the point where I wake up and I check and say, did I really smoke? And I did. It calls to you. Yeah.
So back when, I don't know, I probably met Chris when I was a teenager. So back when I first started working at the bars in Newark, smoking was actually allowed inside.
Mm-hmm.
The bar I worked at, Stone Balloon, we actually had smoke eaters. Like we had smoke eaters because everyone was in there smoking. So when you came home, you basically took off all your clothes that did probably, if it didn't have any blood on it, because the place is crazy. Take your clothes off and you have a work pile, and that work pile needs to be anywhere outside of your bedroom, because that's all your clothes smelled like was cigarette smoke. It was horrible. It was horrible. And me, just someone that doesn't smoke, and I still would come home and smell like smoke all the time. It was just bad. But does anyone think? Me personally, I know. I actually know that alcoholism runs in my family. My family is, to be honest with you, I probably started bartending when I was like 11 years old, like making drinks for people. So I think it may be hereditary. I don't know. Maybe it's the way that if growing up that your family dealt with issues was with alcohol, then it didn't look familiar to, the majority of us. Has anyone else's family been in the same system?
Addiction's a family disease.
Yeah.
100%. Leon, you want to take this one?
Go ahead, Kate. You can lead off. I'll follow up.
So I am a third generation alcoholic. I tell people I was born an alcoholic, and I tell my kids that more than likely they will be an alcoholic, or have a 50% chance of it. It is a disease. It is a disease recognized by the medical profession. It is something that they absolutely have linked to genetics, although that information is still kind of disputed in some circles. So, of course, obviously, if you're not in it, you know what I mean? Which is so great that we're talking, because for me, I live my life as an alcoholic and I see addiction everywhere. And so to sit with you and see how disconnected you are from it, it's foreign to me in a good way, like not good for you, right? So right. My first memory as a 3-year-old is making a drink for my dad. He would sit in the basement and get drunk, and when he needed a drink, he would flip the light on and off, and we would see it flickering in the kitchen and in our dining room, and that meant he needed a drink. So yes, it is the nature versus nurture thing too. It 100%. My dad has been in recovery, I think 26 years. My mom's got 25. My brother's got some time. My sisters all married alcoholics. I ended up with an alcoholic. I mean, it is truly a family disease because look at what you are being brought up around. And that's kind of what I referred to as the chaos of, I work a lot with my therapist and with my sponsor to try to make sure that the chaos that I create in my own mind, even though I'm alcohol and drug free, doesn't impact my kids. And Leon kind of alluded to that earlier, because although I don't have substances in my system for over 4 years, or almost 4 years, excuse me, it doesn't mean that my behaviors have changed. I'm always worried about those triggers. There's always things that happen to me to the point where I, I'll say to myself, Jesus Christ, like, I can't believe I just lied like that for no fucking reason. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Hey, we're adults. We're adults.
Okay,
It's all right. We're adults here. Come
For
on.
no reason.
Come on now. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
We're all adults here.
I know. I'm the baby of the bunch, but I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
all
good.
right.
I can hear you.
So, I mean, the behaviors come out even when the substances are out of your body. It is a constant battle. And, I am one trigger or one memory or one feeling or one good friend who talks me into something drink away from calling my dealer. It is a constant thing. And I think the pandemic definitely exacerbated it. For me, the pandemic actually got me back into the rooms because I didn't have time to physically go into the rooms of AA, but Zoom really helped me a lot because I had kind of let my addiction go to the back seat. And I could talk about that forever, but I do want to say something. And I think your name's Kyle, right? Is it Kyle?
Who?
Todd. I'm so sorry.
It's Todd. Yes.
He looks
Okay.
like
I've
Kyle.
got an ex-wife. You won't
Okay.
tell me anything she didn't.
Okay, all right. I am so sorry about your brother because I own a business and I had to make a conscious decision. It is a very family-oriented business. It is helping families. And I had to make a conscious decision. Was I going to be authentic about myself and share about my addiction and help other people? Or was I going to shield everybody from who I truly was, which my addiction is a part of me, and protect my business? And I actually had to have a conversation with a brand manager and say, what do I do? And I feel for your brother on so many different levels, because
Absolutely.
if you're not solid enough in your own recovery to be willing to take that leap, then I can see the fear and the judgment and the stigma. And I can see feeling it on a daily basis and being strong enough now to kind of overcome it and be like, screw it, I am who I am. But when you're a baby in recovery, I'm so sorry. And I just,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
So
Thank you.
I have a question. If you don't
Okay.
mind, I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, again, everyone here, thank you for sharing. Again, I'm holding back almost tears from hearing all the stories because they're just I've never heard such stories because I haven't really been in front of anyone who is addicted or who has admitted that they've dealt with addiction. So I thank you for that.
Where do you live?
In Canada. And don't get me wrong, there's probably a bunch that are, but they don't show it or they won't admit it. So it's almost like the high functioning addict or whatnot, and they can play out. And I'm gonna go to Todd because again, your brother who had an amazing practice, whether successful or not, he was a successful person at the time, but he could not that demon, right? He could not pass that hump, that disease in his life. And it scares me because I could be working with someone who's in the same boat for the next 10 to 15 years.
You are working with somebody that's in the same
you are.
Right.
You just don't know.
Exactly. Right. And now, and it scares me because
especially at your job.
Well, exactly. Again, my job is a bit on the negative side, as most of you don't know. I am a federal correction officer, right? So I've seen the effects of alcohol on
Yeah.
both sides.
I've been on probation.
I've been to jail.
Yeah, everybody's been
I
there.
was in jail
done
for
that
a
type
long
of-
time, not just a
I've
short
got a-
period of time.
I've got a DUI or 3.
I hear you. Now, like I said, the scary thing is I know the other side. I know the consequences of doing it. But again, the other people can hide it and function. I'm trying to figure out, where did it all start? Like I'm hearing people saying that they had their first experience when they were mixing their parents' drink at 3, or they were doing something at 10. Now, and I'm not boasting or anything, but I'm not a drinker. I don't alcohol for myself. I think I am pretty good without any type of whatever. And people call me square for it. Fine, fair enough, whatever. But now, as I get older and I feel like I can control myself and maybe say, hey, you know what? Let me go and buy this and go drink. Like, is there a point in life where that disease can start at this age right now for me?
I'll take that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a couple of things that I just wanted to pop in on. The question you're asking is kind of a chicken and egg question.
Okay.
Which came first? Who the hell knows? Addiction has been around as long as man has crushed grapes, and that really comes right from the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 12 is or has battled some kind of substance abuse in their lifetime. So, that's 10% of the population.
Wow.
That these are huge numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know where to really answer your. I really can't give you an answer to your question. I can just tell you that can addiction start tomorrow? Like for you, sure, go smoke some crack. You'll be addicted tomorrow. That's all it takes. There's no expiration date on somebody becoming an addict in something or other. Certainly some people have, going back to the family disease part of it, certain people have more of a proclivity towards addiction than others. If it runs in your family, if you see it every day, I have, my father was an alcoholic. My brother is. I mean, not only am I an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict as well. It's not about, and there was another thing that popped up to me that I wanted to address. I was really lucky. So when I got sober, I had no fear about, screaming from the rooftops that it really was quick for me because, I went into a treatment center. I was there for 30 days and I came out and I started going to meetings and these people really swooped me up and took care of me. And, I found a community of like-minded people, and that really enabled me to own my addiction, to not be afraid to go out there and talk about it. And I think that that's so important. I think that's something that so many people that get into some kind of treatment facility and come back out and then hit the streets again. And it's a continuing cycle, finding those people that, that they can surround themselves with, that are like-minded, that want to recover, that want to stay in recovery. I mean, those people saved my life. I mean, I would still be drinking. I mean, I was in a 30-day treatment program and I came back. Shit, I drank for 35 years. What's fucking 30 days after 35 years? It's nothing. So, you have to, you can't do it alone. And so many people try to do it alone. It just, statistics will say, listen, and I know guys that, I know a couple of guys personally that have quit drinking and never, and we're certainly alcoholics. And Kate, you know him, and Harvey, I'm sure you know him as well. One of the guys that I'm talking about, I won't announce his name, but he's in this business, and and he gave it up, 5 or 6 years ago, and he's not interested in going to an AA meeting, but he is one of very few. So that's just a couple of points I wanted to tackle.
All right, so we have
Sorry
a
for rambling on.
Can I chime in on that real quick?
Yeah.
One thing, the first thing that comes to my mind is that addiction doesn't care how old you are. Addiction doesn't care what color you are. Addiction doesn't care what sex you're from. It doesn't care what continent you're on. It crosses all those boundaries. There are kids in middle school that got a pill from a kid at school because he stole it from his mom when she had her knee surgery, and Johnny sold it to Billy. And next thing you know, Billy started on pills, and before he leaves high school, he'll be shooting up. My father, before he passed away, he had a hip surgery, and he was the one that warned me about alcohol years ago. My dad was never an alcoholic in my mind, but he warned me that I may have problems with it one day. And when Dad had his hip surgery, I begged and pleaded for them to not give him any type of narcotics. Well, sure enough, he was prescribed Xanax, and he couldn't live the rest of his life in a normal manner without the Xanax. And I really think that stole some of my dad's quality of life. So there's it crosses all the boundaries. So to think that you're ever free of the addictions, no. You have to be really careful and know that anything you touch, there could be a chance.
So there was a question. So how many people that began with alcohol ended up getting addicted to other drugs or theft or anything like that?
For me,
like was it like a gateway to something else, or? So
okay, let's start by the fact that alcohol is hard to find when you are younger. It's hard to buy. So I actually started with pills first. See, I'm 44, so I started with pills first, then I went to drinking, and then it was game on. Anything I could get a hold of. I'm an addict, so I do everything to the line. Anything I could get a hold of, but it's always been drinking for me. It's always been, that's my go-to, but if I did something else, I'm going to go back to drinking. So they go hand in hand. I mean, there are people out there. There are a lot of people in the addiction community that are kind of splintered on this. Heroin addicts who think they can drink, alcoholics who think they can smoke weed. I mean, I'm not here to judge those people and how they get through their day. But for me, it's all or nothing. I mean, I am a balls to the wall. Let's get effed up no matter what it is. That is my personality. So I would say alcohol is my drug of choice, but I'm anything.
So
I'm
Chris,
addicted to more.
I'm sorry.
I'm addicted to more of everything.
More of everything.
Exactly.
So Chris, how hard was it? So how hard was it for you to still work in bars when, I mean, I guess anyone except for Tyler could probably answer these questions. Like, how hard is it to work in the environment that you're trying to quit?
Well, it's not easy. I talk to myself internally a lot. So I just always, you want to get stressed. If I start thinking about, hey, maybe if I smoke a cigarette, I just tell myself, you don't need that. Don't do it. Because it only takes one. Mm-hmm. And then the damn gates open and you're full blown back up to a pack a day. And I mean, I think that goes for anybody, whether it's drinking or drugs. You know, you just can't have one. You just got to say, you just got to be stick to it.
Right.
I mean, I watched a lot of people that were customers of mine, by degree, go from having a very successful business where they spend most of their time there and then go home at the end of the day and just stop at my bar once or twice. And all of a sudden they're at my bar every day and they're there more and more. And they're not as work as much. And they're not spending as much time with their family. And suddenly they start losing things piece by piece. The wife leaves, the kids go with them, they lose the job, the house is, you know, getting repossessed or whatever. But they're still there at the bar every day at 2:00.
Oh. Wow.
And,
I mean, of course,
these weren't kids. I mean, these were, you know, grown men that were well established in the community. I watched people drink away everything.
Yeah, I can say I've seen it. I mean,
you and I know guys right now. The worst thing that happens, we all go out together, and all of a sudden you turn around, somebody has a drink in their hand, and you start thinking, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, at the beach, when I first started working at the beach, I think cocaine was like all the bartenders were hopped up on coke.
Oh, wait, all the bartenders, you say?
Yeah. Yeah, because they work long shifts.
100%.
I'm talking about like from 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they don't get much sleep.
Wow.
So that was a thing, and everyone knew who they were, you know. But then some were better at hiding it than other ones. It's bad when you're someone that's doing something, but yet you always call out the other person. That's what it would. So Frank would be high on coke and then call out Joe, and you know. So everyone thinks that just Joe is the only person that's coked out of his mind, but Frank or whatever the guy's name is I just made up is you know,
just as bad.
The same way. So it is funny, Kate, that you said that. But it's like we were all basically in the same industry except for Todd. But I don't know. It's just strange. Is it because it was so easy? It was so easy for us to get at work.
Yeah, well, you figure when I worked at an establishment in Dewey Beach, I was expected to be there at noon. I had a section, and then I did a beer tub, and I was at work until 3 a.m. And then, of course, you wanted to party and hang out because you're at the beach. So what are you going to do to stay awake? I mean, but I sought that out. I was in college. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go take a dab in Dewey Beach. I made a conscious decision to do that, knowing full well what my life would be like. And I wanted it. But there is one thing I wanted to say about something I said earlier. And like, I kind of was joking about like where you live or whatever, but I will say that, something to make note of, or something you guys, if you ever want to kind of go down deeper in a rabbit hole, the African-American community is not very active in AA or NA or in recovery programs. They have a tendency, just from statistically, to kind of take care of it on their own. It's if you have a cousin or a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad, it's a family situation. It's not something that you seek out and go to AA for. And so the fact that you probably know people that don't speak about it is exacerbated by the culture. I think because I lived in a home where my parents were drinkers, then got sober, has given me the ability to be open and express myself about it. And I only say that because had I not had that example, I might feel differently. I might want to hide who I was, but and not scream it from the rooftops. But the examples that were shown to me were just, and the program teaches you that although is it a program of anonymity, you really can't, I mean, you really aren't supposed to talk, you aren't supposed to talk about what happens in the rooms, but you also are supposed to kind of self-identify with
like
others. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I like Fight Club.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. And another thing that's really great about the program that has kept me sober is giving back. My whole business is giving back in one way or another. I've found a great way to monetize that, but I don't think that I would have been able to stay as strong as I am in my sobriety had I not been able to kind of do for others as was done for me in my time of need. And that's a big tenet in the program that keeps us sober, is helping the other sick and suffering get sober.
So speaking on the family aspect, Leon, you have 2 daughters?
One.
1 daughter. How do you approach
There's no approach. I mean, she was aware of my my recovery and my commitment to the recovering community from, a very early age. I got sober, she was 9, and I never hid it from her. I would talk to other recovering. I would counsel people over the phone in her presence. She's never been to a meeting with me. And it's for no other reason than, there's no need. She is aware of, she's not a drinker. But she understands what the ramifications of my disease are and what they would be for her. But it's certainly, it's an open topic in my household and in my family. I have a brother that I went to when I got sober. He was sober 10 years when I went to him. Rest his soul. He died a couple of years ago from another disease that was not addiction related, but he would have been sober 25 years. And I was able to go to him, and and he showed me the way. We all have that tipping point. Those of us that are in recovery, we have that tipping point that when we hit our so-called bottom. But my next bottom could be a hell of a lot deeper than my last one. There's no question about that. But yeah, as far as family goes, it's an open topic. We're not afraid to look at it, discuss it, share it. And there was one other thing I wanted to get back to you. Cocaine in bars. Mm-hmm. There's one reason that there's a lot of coke in bars, so we can drink more. And that's it. That's the bottom line.
So you think they go hand in hand?
Like absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Butter and jelly.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done cocaine, so I have no idea.
So I mean, Harp, you're squeaky clean, brother. But all those guys, right? All those guys that that are doing lines of coke in a bathroom, okay? Mm-hmm. They always had a drink in their other hand.
Wow.
Okay. No, I mean, I was double fisted. I had. I mean, back when I was at Klondike Case, I had a Southern Comfort and Coke
and Miller Lite
in one hand and a shot of something in the other hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So, Todd, are you also in recovery?
I am. 11 years.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Is there anyone that's willing to talk about their rock bottom?
Ooh. I mean, I'm sure we all are.
Yeah,
I mean, I can talk about it.
That's I'm willing to I'm willing to hear all this because I mean only because I'm hearing these stories, and now you're telling me there's more, there's worse.
Yeah,
like,
right. So I mean, the one thing I will say when it comes to like I said, I have a family of alcoholics. I think a lot of their rock bottom was either DUI or maybe they did turn to, crime or something else, and then they got caught up in something else, and then, it just exploded. Right. But I think there has to be something to make someone go into recovery. And when Kate said, the like the African American community, of course we deal with everything. We deal with everything by ourselves. We don't need help. We don't need help for shit.
That's that proud.
True.
That's that proud.
True.
Yeah.
That's that proud.
If you need help.
Yeah.
If you need help, you have to ask for help.
I can definitely vouch for that, not on an addiction basis, but just as a family oriented African family, you are pretty much dealt with. You're like a village will raise that family. So if my brother had an issue and I couldn't solve it, or my brother or any of my other siblings couldn't solve it, or my parents couldn't solve it, an uncle would step in and fix it.
Yes.
Right?
Or your grandmother.
Someone would come in to help the situation in that family. So they would try to solve it amongst themselves, which is great, right? But at the same time, when you step it out to an addiction situation where there's other people who've had the same problem, I don't know if that really helps fix the problem rather than just kind of puts the blanket over top and just kind of smothers the problem. Like, I believe African Americans should go out and reach out for help. Not that, I mean, we are human, race, whatever, out the door. We're human. So if I know Jules has an addiction and Kate has an addiction, I know they should go to the same spot, whether they are, whatever age, whatever creed, whatever color, there to help. So I think egos and thought process should be out the door and just go and seek the help you need wherever you need it. Don't try to hold it in, and because I mean, me as a person myself, when things get rough, I tend to hold things and do things internally. Body changes, right? If you hold in anger, something happens internally. Hold in sadness, something happens internally. So your body knows when let go or when it should be able to let go, because again, your body will react. I was dealing with a lot of emotional crap for a bunch of years, and my intestines were all messed up because I wasn't letting it go, right? Or some people suffer from major migraines because they've been dealing with something and they didn't let it go. So the minute you are letting this stuff go, I'm assuming you should feel on cloud 9 that you're getting it out and that you want to get more, you want to seek more, you want to feel better, you want to stay on that level. So seeking help, I think, is the best thing for anybody to do.
So Chris, was rock bottom for you when you went to the hospital?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a wake up call.
You go to a doctor's appointment. You don't expect the doctor to come in, sit down, and go, "Okay, listen, I just called you an ambulance, and I'm sending you to the hospital."
Wow.
I mean, that's and I mean, I could walk, function, everything. I said, you don't have to do that. I can drive, because I don't want you to drive because I'm afraid of what's going to. Something happen while you're driving, you'll kill somebody else. So they put me in the ambulance, packed me up to the hospital. The worst thing ever was hearing those doors close. And to get in the ambulance, I get in there and they put me on a stretcher. But listening to those two doors close was just kind of like, maybe we better reevaluate things right now.
Yeah.
So look, maybe we need to make a few changes here, and that's pretty much where that put me. If that hadn't happened, I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed smoking. I enjoyed, it was. I could take, I like.
Right.
Yeah, even now today, I probably look at that, and if I didn't think that I had a problem with it, or it didn't get its hooks into me, I would say, "No, well, I'm okay. I could smoke. I shouldn't. I don't need that. It's bad for you." I mean, who doesn't know what the only reason most people know there's a Surgeon General is because they read the warning on the side of a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
True.
So you can't say I didn't know what I was getting into health-wise. But
So let me ask you a question. Why do you think alcohol? Why do you think alcohol companies don't do something similar? Do they think people just don't care?
well, when you walk up to the bars in Delaware, there's a warning sign right on the door if you have a liquor license. That's by law we have to post that.
I've never seen it.
You have to buy it. You go down and if you read those stickers, some of them have a Surgeon General's warning on it. There's 4 different versions of that sticker. And it's a red and white sticker. It's in the shape of a stop sign, but one of those things is a Surgeon General's warning on the effects of alcohol.
Wow. I don't remember that. Well, Kate, what was your, you said you wanted to talk about your rock bottom?
So, I would say my big rock bottom, honestly, it wasn't going to jail. It wasn't a DUI. Although those things happened to me. I had lost my significant other in a very big, tragic, large way. And so let me backtrack. If you ask any addict or alcoholic, one of the reasons why they are an addict or an alcoholic is because they don't want to feel anything. They don't want to address whatever's going on inside them, be it family trauma or self-esteem issues, or most of the time we're all walking around trying not to feel anything. So when this big thing happened to me, it was like all the wheels just fell off the car, and I was just like, let's do this. Let's get drunk every day. Let's smoke cigarettes. Let's call our drug dealer. Let's do this. All while raising 2 small children, which was awesome. I look back now, and there's a thing in the program about, releasing your guilt and shame because what you were doing when you were drinking was part of the disease. It's going to be hard for me to let go of a lot of the guilt and shame of the things that happened to me when I was raising my kids while I was in the throes of my addiction. I will tell you that probably my rock bottom, it came slowly for me. It wasn't one big moment. It was more a series of bad things that had happened, decisions I had made. But one of the 5 things that flashes in front of my face all the time is I had, I kind of had this routine. I would get up, I would get my kids on the bus, and then I would drink until about 12:31, and then I would pass out until I had to get my kids off the bus again. And then I would get them off the bus, fed dinner, and then around 7:30, I would start drinking again. And then I drank until about pass out. I mean, it was 10:30, 11:30, 12. It didn't matter. I wasn't working at the time because my fiance had died, and I was grieving, and luckily I was able to do that. But my kid came in and they wanted Wawa, and I got in the car and drove them to Wawa, and nobody had shoes on. So we walked into Wawa, and the person at the countertop, the checkout person was like, "You need to turn around and go home. Like, I'm going to call the police. You're here, you're drunk, you're driving, it's midnight, none of your kids have shoes on." Like, that person saved my life in so many different ways. I would have lost my kids. I would have gotten arrested. And it still took me about a month after that to get sober. And it wasn't in a big way. I remember drinking and thinking, where the fuck is my intervention? Like, where are the people? I am in so much trouble. I am so broken. Why are people not surrounding me and like doing an intervention? Like, I didn't understand why nobody saw what I saw. Well, either A, I was hiding it really well, or B, they just thought that was part of my grief process. And I woke up after about the 300th time that my kids literally cried in front of my face and begged me to stop drinking on July 29th of 2017. And I literally just said to myself, I am not going to drink today. And that day turned into the next day and turned into the next day and turned into the next day. And if you would have asked me on July 28th, if I would not have a drink on July 29th, I would have told you were crazy. I mean, the conversations as alcoholics and addicts that we have with ourselves every day, when you wake up and you say to yourself, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to use today. And then that doesn't happen. I had that conversation every day. And I remember saying to myself, I'm not going to use today. And then also saying internally, of course you are. You absolutely are. You're in trouble. And for some reason, I mean, I believe in a higher power. My higher power is God. Somebody intervened. And I just strung a bunch of days together. And luckily, I've been able to string a bunch of days together for almost 4 years, always knowing that tomorrow I could be drunk again.
But
Wow.
we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, we know that's not happening.
Hopefully.
Now that I know, I'll whoop your ass if you start drinking again. Shoot. Damn, girl, you don't want to go back there. That's, I mean.
And that's the thing I tell people that I counsel is I feel I'm so close to the person that I used to be. I remember her so well every day, not in a way that I'm embarrassed of her. I love her, but I know that that's not who I want to be anymore. And I know that's not who I am anymore. And I'm so close to that person and I'm so close to that feeling that I don't think I will. And I hope I won't. And I feel as if I do lose that feeling, that's when my relapse will happen, because your relapse really happens before you actually pick up the drink. And I think when I forget how bad I was, then I will start to relapse. And I don't want to do that.
Oh, okay. I have a question when it comes to relationships and how this addiction affected each of your relationships in terms, I mean, whether they were an addict or not, just go around the horn. How did your addiction affect your relationship, be it your significant other, friends, so forth? I know, Kat, you're saying, you know, your friends really didn't know how to approach you or even to approach you because they didn't know if it was that bad yet. So I can hear that. But now I want to know, I know you also said you lost your fiance in a tragic accident, but I want to know, were there any other relationships that were affected because of your addictions? Go around the horn.
Every single one. I am not friends with people that I should be friends with. Business associates, my parents, my children. I have no idea how much trust was broken with my kids. They were 9 and 11. Every single relationship. I am lucky. There's a thing in the program called Living Amends. I may not say that I am sorry to the people that are closest to me every day, but I live it in the way that I treat them now versus the way that I was. I was a crappy person. I made plans. I didn't make them, didn't break, didn't go to them. I lied. I stole. You have no idea the person you'll be. I mean, there wasn't one relationship that wasn't impacted, but those relationships are also impacted by my sobriety now in a positive way, but that's just me.
Okay. Todd, how about you?
Oh, most definitely. Every relationship was affected. Because of my drinking, I married a woman that I knew I never should have. She was my party buddy. She was also the woman I fought with, like cats and dogs. The best man at my wedding was my drinking buddy. But one of the blessings to come out of that, he quit drinking on his own. He didn't go through Alcoholics Anonymous like I did, but he quit drinking, and years later, I've quit drinking, and he and I have reconnected. So, and I think part of that is being able to admit where you've been and what you've done. She talks about the living amends. We also in AA, we take inventories. We share them with whoever we choose to share them with. But I think in being able to admit publicly that I am an alcoholic, that I've been down this road, and that I want to fight the stigma, it opens the door for reconciliation for some of those past relationships. Because people respect the road you've been down. People respect Rocky because he got back up, when he's fighting Apollo Creed. People respect the underdog that comes back and has the comeback story. So yes, every relationship was affected. My brother, my mother, my father, I lied, cheat, and stole from them. My ex-wife, I lied to her. She lied to me. She's an addict. We both lied to each other about everything. I lied to my bosses, but yet through all of that, I'm still able to reconcile a lot of that, because I've admitted who I am, and those people want the me back that they knew before I was in the throes of my drinking. So yes, it's affected it, but in a lot of ways it's affected it in good ways, because I've been able to get some of those back.
Are you, Chris?
I would say not so. Let's put it this way. I worked in an environment where smoking was acceptable. And if I was someplace where it wasn't, if I was around people who didn't smoke, or let's say my mom and dad or my family, I just wouldn't smoke, or I'd walk outside for a couple minutes and then walk back inside. So it didn't really have an impact on the relationships. I mean, there were some people I was cool to smoke around because they either did or they were in the same business and they didn't have a problem with it. And then there were people that I just knew not to do it around. So I just took it on a case by case basis, but it didn't really get it into a destructive pattern where I cut off relationships with people because they didn't approve of my behavior or something like that.
Leon, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was the number one reason that my marriage ended is my alcoholism. No question about that. But as far as I mean, the honest answer for me is that when I got sober, I left that world behind. I mean, I just left. It was gone. It was no longer part of my life. All those people that I worked with in bars and drank after work with, I mean, they weren't my friends. I mean, they were people that I knew. They were more acquaintances. They were drinking buddies. My friends, my childhood friends, the guys that I still get together with, a couple of times a year, my family, all those people got my back. The people that, during my 25 years of hard drinking, and that means, drinking every day, getting up hungover, fighting through the day till I could drink again every day for 25 years. And there's not a day that I missed. And before that there was, I mean, I quit drinking when I was, on September 18th, 2005. So coming up on 16 years. I lost a job that I felt it identified me, and I was fortunate enough to actually have, that I reached out to somebody, and that's the only reason that, that I got the help that I needed, is because, I for whatever reason, I knew I needed help, and I picked up the phone, and, I called my brother, and he gave me he got the names of 3 rehabs in the area. He said, call them and see if you can get a bed. And, I was really expecting, him to, take me by the hand. But he did it the right way. He said, here's the name and number of 3 places, call them, see if you can get a bed, and I was able to, and he came and he picked me up the next morning and, drove me to rehab. And, I drank that night, the night before I checked in. And, that was almost 16 years ago, and I haven't picked up a drink since. And, I'm grateful for that. But, when you're drinking, you're not building relationships.
Mm-mm.
You're just not. The relationship I have with my family and my close friends, is what it always was. I destroyed myself. I took down my marriage. I forced my daughter into being, in a in a family dynamic that's not ideal. She has, to her credit, she battled through that. She's strong and she's intelligent, and she's got her shit together. Nothing that I did, though, that's for sure. So
is the easiest way to attack addiction is to ask for help?
that's bingo. You have to be willing.
Nobody's going to be able to do it for you.
Right.
They will try, but it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So outside of AA, is there something that's similar to AA for, say, smokers or people that have any other type of addiction?
Absolutely.
I think there's an A for everything: sex,
Yes.
gambling, smoking, cocaine,
Eating.
narcotics, eating, emotions, anonymous. Yeah, there's
Relationships.
an A for everything.
Yeah, there's then there's the other side of things for your family, which has been great.
I'm looking for the next Netflix Anonymous meeting.
You're hooked
We
too.
have a new TV show for you, though, Leon. I gotta text it to you.
That's just another TV show on Netflix that somebody else will watch.
Leon and I are TV show buddies because we're sober, so we don't really do anything.
So is there anyone that's currently in like the bar industry that you guys know now that probably you can either forward this to or try to reach out to them and say, hey, this is a great topic. If you need help, I'm actually here to help.
I put it on my Facebook page for all my former coworkers.
Mhm.
I try to just stay in my own lane. I get in trouble if I am trying to diagnose other people because I have done it and it has blown up in my face. So for the most part, there's a saying, I just kind of try to keep my side of the street clean. I have made my mistakes in the past. You get into the program. I think you guys talked about it. You get excited, you're happy, you're free. And you just want everybody else around you to be just as happy and free as you are. And you also become acutely aware of who the people you were with prior weren't the best people to be with. And then if you're me, you may approach some of them and say, hey, I think you have a problem too. And that didn't go so well. So as much as I love helping people, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I need help, I'm there. I will get up. I will do whatever you need me to do. But I try to I have enough problems just staying out of my own way every day. I am my biggest problem. Just me. Nobody else has to screw me up.
Guys, just so you know, like this, what you just kind of witnessed for this past hour is really similar to what you're going to hear in an AA meeting.
Okay.
These are, I'm willing to share my thoughts and my story with you guys. And, if you think it will help somebody else, you have my blessing to forward that. As far as me sharing this publicly, not something that I'm comfortable with. Again, if you think this is going to help somebody, a repeat of this is going to help somebody, you should really convince them to go to a real AA meeting.
That's facts.
Minus the moderators.
Right.
That's for most people, and Todd alluded to that with his brother. It's a real difficult struggle, and making that decision on, and figuring out, what people are going to think of you, and that's really painful. It's really painful. I mean, it forced his brother into a situation that, his whole family's going to regret forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, again, it's, I've just spent the last hour in the AA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That's
very much so.
Kind of bottom line for me. If I share my recovery with other recovering alcoholics,
Right.
And that's, that's the way AA works.
Exactly.
We go to meetings, we talk to other alcoholics. I teach yoga to a group of recovering men that are in a halfway house. I do what I can do within the community.
Mhm.
I'm not the guy, I'm not the advocate out there, beating the drum for AA,
Right.
outside of AA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think
That makes sense.
for me, it's about planting a seed and saying, here, if you want to taste of what I have, here you can see what it's like.
Mhm.
Because people like you don't understand, and they may have a family member that they want to help. I'm living proof. I couldn't save my brother. He didn't want to do the work. The work was right there in front of him. 12 steps, all he had to do was take them. He didn't want to do it. I can't make you do it.
Right.
And I've heard sobriety talked about like peanut butter. You know what peanut butter tastes like, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. All day.
Okay.
Every day.
Can you explain it?
It's like heaven.
Right. But until you've had it, you don't know how good it is.
Correct.
And that's kind of that's how sobriety is for us. I can
Wow.
show you how I got there,
Right.
and I can tell you what it tastes like to me. But until you taste it for yourself, you won't know the joys of it.
Yeah.
And you won't know
You're right.
the immense goodness that's there until you've had it for yourself.
I like that.
I like
But
that's
you have
serious.
to go
That's
get the
deep.
jar. You got to take the lid off. You got to take that little foil thing that gets in the way. You got to take that off, and then you got to get a spoon and go get in there and do it yourself.
That's deeper than
I
you
can't.
Oof.
But I can't make you do it.
Right.
So that's why I plant the seed. Here's a jar of peanut butter. If you want a spoon, come ask me and I'll help you. But other than that,
that's
Yeah.
deep.
I've been in situations where I knew people were in over their head, and the best I could do for them. I mean, I can't make the decision for you. As I say, hey, look, if you need help, you're not in trouble, just let me know. I'm around. Here's my number. If you need help getting straightened out, just let me know. But ultimately, it falls on them to get to that point where they admit that to themselves.
exactly.
All right. That's awesome, man. I mean, I can't speak for Tunde, but I will try to speak for Tunde. I really appreciate you guys reaching out, and just opening my mind, period, on what you've all been through. And I'm sure I know many more people that, that probably could benefit from hearing these stories. So but I really appreciate it.
Not only that, again, with where we are in the world right now with this whole pandemic, a lot of people need to hear this because they're at the end of their rope.
Mhm.
They're at the end of their wits right now. They have nowhere to go. Like right now, my city is in pretty much a partial lockdown. Can't go and do anything. Now imagine that. A person who is, open to going out, seeing family, friends, and can't, and all they have is alcohol or drugs or cigarettes that are just accessible to them because they have nothing to do. That takes them back. Like there was a question here on the channel here. It says, for addiction being a daily thing, what has helped you not to return in this past 15 to 17 months of being in this huge crisis? I mean, for one, I don't know how folks who have addictions who are in a secluded area for the last 15 months can honestly not bounce back into that addiction. It's so scary. So when you guys are telling me all these stories, I'm taking all this information and I'm just processing it, thinking, okay, how am I going to tell this friend, that friend, or even somebody out of random, saying that they're having an issue with something? How do I tell them? I now know what to say. Go get help. Go to an AA meeting. Go to this person, be it AA, NA, whatever. They have the tools and the means to help you out. They are the best people to go to, and that's what I'm doing. I'll just point them to that direction. I'm not going to be, as Kate says, you don't want to have that reaction about you thinking you know that person when you don't. You'll get that negative feedback, because I'm a person that loves to help everybody. Like yourself, I love to help everything and everyone at any point I can. But there's that other side of the coin where that person might think they don't have a problem, or they don't want your help, or they're embarrassed about getting some help. So I'll point them to the right direction. Let them handle. Let them get that spoon. Let them get that peanut butter on their own. Let them taste heaven. You know what I'm saying? Let them taste heaven on their own. So I thank you guys all for definitely for opening my eyes on it. I didn't know anything about this, because again, I've tried to steer clear as much as I can, just because of my profession, my family, my background. But again, I know it's out there. I'm not stupid. It's out there. It could be my next door neighbor that could have the same. Who knows? I don't know. Right. So now that I am aware and a bit enlightening, know that it's in anybody and it's in everyone. I know how to deal with this. I thank you guys for sharing with me about all this.
Thank you for listening and wanting to listen.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks
for sharing.
It's amazing. It's amazing how just, what I think about a week ago, myself and Jules were talking about it, and he brought up this situation, and he put out the post, and he had, again, 200 some odd people talking about it. But it took the courage of 4 people to actually step up to the mic and say, hey, let me tell you my story. Right? And I kid you not, and I'm not trying to put anybody's stories higher and lower than others, but Todd's story hit me, because there is some part that connects with me. You know what I mean? Like, because I've had a family member who has passed away in certain situations, not addiction wise, but just because of pain, too much pain, and they couldn't handle it. So, like I said, I had to hold back tears because I've seen it. I've seen it, not per se in that type of realm of addiction, but I've seen how some situations can just take the life out of you. Gone. And it sucks. And then the fact that the family has to now deal with that and has to live with that also sucks. And then any type of grandchildren or any other external friends or even extended family members, they have to deal with that or miss dealing with that. It is a feeling that you never want to repeat. Did you not?
No, that's right.
I feel your pain. I have three younger brothers that I love dearly, and if that ever happened, I would be crushed for myself. So I know you were crushed at one point. You are now recovering. I don't know how you're, if you're past it or not. If you're, the emotions are still going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be there forever.
Hey, I want to thank you for your time, guys, but I got to run.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Leon. You're
Thank
awesome,
you.
dude.
See you again, brother.
Thanks.
Yeah, the one thing I really took away from it is like you're never over addiction. Never. It's just it's a daily fight. It's a daily fight.
It's a daily reprieve.
Day by day. Man.
And so fellas,
and don't let anybody ever make you think that quitting smoking is easy. Man, quitting smoking, that's a big accomplishment.
100%.
Especially working in a bar like that. Man, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to you, Chris, for doing it. And how long have you been smoke free?
10 years.
10 years.
Come on.
10 years. No nicotine. And it's out there even more so than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, wow. I mean, shout out to you, Chris, for doing that. I mean,
just think how much money you saved. That's like $8 a pack.
It's funny. When I started smoking, I think cigarettes might have been about 75, 80 cents a pack.
Or
And now,
$2
what
for me.
are they got? They're like $8 now.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. That is crazy. But yes, gentlemen, I thank you guys for your time and your energy. By all means, feel free to uh, chime in and share your story or share the podcast with anybody that you know that is looking to, you know,
Seek help.
seek help. Exactly. I have a friend here.
Always.
I have a good friend of mine that's actually on my Facebook who said he has now quit for 14 years. Shout out
Come
to
on.
my friend John. Quit smoking for 14 years. That is amazing. See, that's what, and
Yes.
that's what this is what I love. See that? We're talking about something. Somebody has now the energy and the wherewithal to say, "Hey, I did this. Hey, give me
Mhm.
some love," and I'm gonna give you some love, John.
And you
Shout
never
him
know
out.
who's going to read those comments and be like, man,
Exactly.
maybe I can do it too.
Then
Right.
you go 6 degrees. It said John said it. Dave's gonna say it. Hey, Dave knows Tim. Tim knows Tina, and everybody starts exposing themselves in terms of the joys
Mhm.
of getting to where they are. It is a celebration for when you actually know that you're not going back to the way you were. Celebrate
Exactly.
it. Anybody who's out there, celebrate that you are sober, that you are clean, that you're nicotine free. Everything. Tell everyone that you can that you are nicotine free, sober, that you're dealing with everything the best way you can. Keep on doing it, folks. We're here for you.
That's it.
All right. Thank you. And Chris, yes, I will be home soon. So
Drop me a line, Harv.
I got you, brother.
All right, folks. Thank you for your time. You guys
Thank
have a
you.
great night. We'll
Yes,
see
sir.
you
Yeah,
guys
you do the
next week. Next week, we'll have another new topic for you guys. And be sure to, again, comment, ask questions, email us if you want. We're here for you all day, every day. You guys have a great night. Love, folks.
Great night.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Take care.
Yes, sir.